Hello everyone, it's Tony with Big T Bariatric, and I'm back at you with part 2 of the toxic world of Tess Holliday. I asked you guys in the last video if you wanted me to do part 2, and everybody said yes, so here I am. This will be released at 7 p.m., which is what I'm going to start doing from now on. Every video is going to be premiered at 7 p.m., and I'll probably record most days, if not every day. Of course, I'll take a few days off from time to time, or I might not be able to make a video that day. But yeah, you could look for most of my videos to be released at 7 p.m. So I hope that's good with everybody. I just sort of realized that more people watch videos in the evening than they do in the morning, and so I thought it'd be a good time. And we had a lot of fun last night with the premiere of part 1, and you know, that was fun, just getting together and chatting with people as we watched the video together. So that was great. So chime in 7 p.m. and, you know, watch my videos with me. Anyways, so we're going to get started with this part 2, the toxic world of Tess Holliday and fat activism. Let's go.
Many plus-size women have felt held back or defined by society's often unfair depictions of bigger women.
Billy? Billy? Billy!
Daddy!
So while it may seem that Tess Holliday...
No one really likes to get picked on, right? Like, no matter what it is, but there are smaller people who are made fun of in movies. There are black people, there are Asian people, there are every single type of person. The Irish, every culture. Like, watch Family Guy and you'll see that they pick on everybody. The homosexual community, like, everybody is fair game when it comes to comedy. And if you don't like that because you think it's an unfair depiction of fat women, well, what's so unfair about it? I mean, yeah, some things are exaggerated for comedic purposes, but hey, that's the nature of comedy, you know.
Is famous in spite of her weight. In reality, she's become so successful because of her weight. As far as famous plus-size models go, Ashley Graham came before her, but Ashley Graham still looks exactly like a typical model.
Is she considered plus size? Because she looked like a normal person to me.
The classic 0.7 waist-to-hip ratio, a big butt and boobs, and no visible lumps with smooth, shiny, tight skin. Basically, her body still looks like a typical model's body. Even with Cosmo's best efforts, however, Tess's body doesn't. Tess is lumpy. Tess has a lot of cellulite. She has back fat, underarm flaps, and ample body rolls. Tess, in some ways then, is more like the average plus-size woman than any other cover model to come before her.
It's just amazing to have a role model like Tess and actually see someone who actually looks like me, owning their sexiness and owning their curves and being someone that I can actually relate to.
Yeah, this is the danger of having somebody like Tess Holliday as a major influencer, because women are actually looking up to her as a role model. And so now they could aspire to be like her and say, wow, I can be sexy and be 300, 400, 500 pounds. And I don't have to change. I don't have to do anything different because, hey, Tess Holliday's doing it. She's changing the culture. She's changing the way people think of modeling and beauty and everything else. She's changing the standards. So, hey, now I don't have to feel guilty about being overweight. I don't have to lose weight. I can continue being big, and I can own my sexuality, which is absolutely disgusting. I mean, it's not disgusting that women want to feel beautiful, but you're just totally ignoring, just as Tess Holliday is ignoring, the major problems that come with being obese
in the mainstream media.
And this common ground makes her incredibly influential.
Why hate yourself and why deprive yourself of having the most beautiful life possible? Because
no one's saying you have to deprive your life of something beautiful. We're just saying you could be much happier at a healthier weight. So instead of getting healthier and being happier, like if you hate yourself and you hate your life because you're overweight, then change the weight. You don't have to give in to the whole fat positivity culture to start to love yourself. Because as you get bigger and bigger, you're going to hate yourself even more. And the pain is going to be just horrible. The more you become bedridden and the less you actually get to live and all those things, like those are going to become part of your reality very, very soon. as we saw in the last video, just doing even a little bit of exercise, you can severely injure yourself and become incapacitated because of that. Like, you are not realizing what you're doing to yourself, all in the mode of trying to be beautiful, trying to have, a better self-positive thoughts about yourself. Like, it's just disgusting. You're not going to be able to do it.
Because you happen to be fat, or you happen to be a different color, or you happen to be whatever.
The way she's talking about fat here, you just happen to be fat. You just like you happen to be a different color. Seriously, are you really equating fat with skin color? Or fat with any other disability? Yeah, fat can be a disability if you accumulate too much and you can't get out of bed. But you did that to yourself. You didn't just happen to wake up one day and you were fat. You're fat because you overate. You're fat because you had a food addiction or whatever. You can't control skin color. You can't control many other disabilities. You can control being overweight. So again, if being overweight is making you unhappy, you don't have a positive body, what's that term? I can't even think of it. It's early. Leave me alone. If you don't have a positive view of your body because you're obese, you can change that. You can become smaller. You can become healthier. And then you'll start to think better of yourself. Like myself, I've been gaining a lot more confidence since I've been losing weight. I still know I got a long way to go. Okay, but not being 671 pounds anymore, like I'm more confident with myself. I'm not afraid to talk to people. I don't automatically think people are going to hate me because I'm overweight anymore. Like people see that I'm working hard at losing weight. They see the progress. And that's great. So you can work hard to lose the weight and you'll start feeling better about yourself. You don't have to give in to the fat positivity culture because you're just too lazy to do the work to get the weight off.
Whatever's holding you back, like, life's too fucking short for that shit.
These women see Tess being celebrated for her beauty and think, I can be beautiful too. The F Your Beauty Standards hashtag she started has grown to over 4.5 million reposts of women declaring that they find themselves beautiful, regardless of what you or society thinks. And they're looking to Tess for inspiration and as a role model, even going as far as to idolize her in some instances.
When I was in high school and I got an Instagram, one of the very first people I followed was the great Tess Holliday.
People like Tess Holliday give me and so many other women confidence.
I had never seen someone who looked like me at the time, who had the same kind of body as me, rocking it. Honestly, like I had not seen that before.
And she showed me how to love my body. She showed me how to love every curve, every lump, every bump. And
again, that's really dangerous because you are now putting yourself in a position where you don't feel like you have to change to get healthier. You feel like that you can just, hey, Tess Holliday's out there being fat and beautiful, so I can do that too. Tess Holliday can be a model, so I can do that too. It's like you are totally ignoring the health complications that you are adding to yourself by deciding that you're going to give in to this movement rather than opposing it, rather than deciding to get healthy. And they're going as far to say that if you're trying to lose weight, that you're fat phobic, that you're racist, that you're all these things, just to prevent people from losing weight. Like it's a bad thing to want to be healthy, to want to lose weight. So, I mean, it's not even as much as being influenced by Tess Holliday. It's people like her saying that you're fat phobic if you want to lose weight. And people are like, I don't want to be fat phobic. I'd rather think this is a positive community because it makes me feel better about myself.
you know, just to be happy in the body that I'm in.
Yeah, she is like an icon, a pioneer of plus size.
I'm very proud of her. I don't know her or anything like that, but I feel like I do because I can relate to her so strongly.
I still have the People's Magazine from whenever she was on the cover. That was a historic moment for me. I kept it and I've saved it all these years.
I had never felt so excited and so accepted.
This emotional connection to Tess on such a sensitive and personal topic means that these women are very receptive to things that Tess has to say, which would be all fine and well if Tess limited the conversation to beauty standards and body positivity, but as we've seen, she just doesn't.
Yeah, just like I talked about in yesterday's video, like you can be unhealthy on either side of the spectrum. This is not just about pointing out fat as being this monstrous thing. Like you can be anorexic, you can be on that other end of the spectrum and be completely unhealthy too. And so it's the eating disorder on both ends of the spectrum.
Mention my success, but then it would always be followed with, well, she's unhealthy or this, so,
Right.
which I'm not.
She's constantly reaffirming to everyone that she's healthy, and anyone who says otherwise is just fat phobic. So when these women come to Tess seeking inspiration and to feel more body positive, they're also receiving a dose of health at every size at the same time. Because of this, Tess Holliday, as the most famous body positive influencer, as well as other BOPO influencers, have become the gateway drug to health at every size. Where you go looking for one, you often find the other. Now, to really understand what I mean by this, it's important to take a look back at the origins of health at every size and how we got here.
Hi, I'm Dr. Linda Bacon, and I'm devoted to
Bacon.
creating a global transformation that focuses on body respect, not the war on weight.
Haze has been around for many years, but became more popular following the 2008 publishing of a book of the same name by Dr. Lindo Bacon, formerly Linda, who you were just introduced to. When I first started researching health at every size for this video, I was actually surprised at how reasonable some of the ideas were.
Health at every size is a movement that is basically just encouraging people to adopt good health behaviors and to forget about weight as a goal or weight change as a goal, and instead just embrace the bodies that we're living in and make good health choices to support them.
Doesn't sound so bad, right? I wholeheartedly agree that forgetting about the number on the scale and just focusing on the behaviors that lead to good health is not only the best way to get healthy, but ironically probably the best way to lose weight as well. And honestly, there are many other reasonable and important ideas in this book that I think could be helpful for people, such as the need to practice self-acceptance at any size, the need to end weight stigma in healthcare, and the fact that crash diets, even if they do lead to weight loss, are not healthy or sustainable. If this was all the movement was pushing, it would be a good thing. But, and it's a big but, unfortunately, these ideas are overshadowed with the need to push that fat or obesity is not unhealthy in any way, shape, or form. And what's particularly harmful about this is that it's done in a way that suggests that this is the truth according to science.
Okay, so we don't have evidence that fat is the killer it's made out to be, you may be thinking, but it clearly causes disease. Does it? Suspend your preconceptions and a very different picture emerges. One where it's the machinery of weight stigma that needs dismantling.
See, the one thing neither of these people have been is obese. And so I'm speaking from my own experience as an obese person who was over 600 pounds, and knowing what it's like to try to walk, to be so out of breath just by walking a few steps, to hearing my heart beat out of my chest, to having the extreme pain in throughout my entire body just from walking. Like, I might not have had any disease, I might not have had high blood pressure, I might not have had any kind of thing wrong with me. Every time I've done blood tests, it's always come out fine. Like, I've never had any issue with obesity, but I also knew that was coming in the future if I didn't do something. Because my body was starting to break down and I was in a tremendous amount of pain. So you don't have to have a disease for obesity to impact your life. It's not about doing a blood test and your doctor clearing you and saying, oh, you're fine, but you just have a little bit of a weight issue, and you saying, well, maybe, the medical community needs to stop saying that and stop trying to get me to lose weight, when the evidence is very, very clear, that obesity causes so many problems. In the last video, there was over 200 diseases and issues linked to obesity. And so being big, again, you don't have to have all those problems. I didn't have any heart issues or nothing like that. But I was having problems just walking to the bathroom. We saw in one video where a lady couldn't even wipe herself. She had to have her man do it for her. Like, it goes beyond disease and physical ailments that you can measure. it's just so much worse than you can imagine. And so trying to spin the complete misery that you're in as an obese person into being a positive thing so you can feel better at any size, it's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely destroying people's lives. Because these people don't know what they're getting themselves into. Because they're young and they're healthy. But what it's going to turn into in a few years when their weight actually starts breaking down their bodies, they're going to absolutely regret every decision that they made being part of this positivity movement. It's ridiculous.
Some of these scientific truths, according to Hayes, are: your body size is almost 100% genetically determined and not at all under your control.
Okay, so how am I losing weight then? If my body size is 100% genetically determined, I was genetically determined to be 671 pounds. Oh, but all of a sudden, it was my genes that decided to change so I could lose all this weight? Really? Did the weight loss surgery that removed 90% of my stomach, did that change my genetic nature and so now I'm able to lose weight? So I was able throughout my entire life to lose weight, and I've lost and regained significant amounts of weight. We're talking hundreds of pounds back and forth. It wasn't my genetics. I gained weight because I ate a lot of food. I had a food addiction my entire life since I was very young because I went through so many traumatic things. I was mentally, physically, and sexually abused as a kid, and even abused into my early 20s. So the only way I had to cope with that was food. And so, I ate and ate and ate, and I got bigger and bigger and bigger. It had nothing to do with my genes. The rest of my family is skinny. Except they turned to alcohol where I turned to food, which is why I spoke against alcoholism yesterday. And I had some negative comments, probably because I picked on somebody else's favorite drug. But alcoholism is dangerous. And so is food addiction. So it has almost nothing to do with genes. You may be more predisposed to gaining weight because of certain ailments. It may be easier for you to gain weight, especially if you have something like diabetes where your blood sugar is constantly off and your body is pumping insulin or it's not pumping insulin or whatever is wrong with you. Like that could make it easier or harder to lose weight. But we're talking a few pounds versus hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds. And it is under my control because anytime I've tried to lose weight, I've lost weight. And now that I'm eating healthy and I'm doing right by myself, I'm losing weight. So it is under my control, and it is under your control too. Don't buy into this lie that it's all your genes and you have nothing to do with it. And don't buy into this lie also that you're just big boned. Everybody's bones are the same. Your structure, your bone structure might be different if you're taller or shorter. But that's where the BMI chart comes in, because if you're taller and your bones are a little bit bigger to support your taller frame, like that's going to add out in your BMI chart, right? So your size versus your height is what your BMI is going to be. So people who use this excuse, I'm just big boned, I'm just naturally thick or things like that. No, you can lose weight. You're just choosing not to. You're just trying to give into the culture so that you don't actually have to do the work to lose the weight by just saying, hey, I can't lose weight. I was just born this way. I'm naturally thick. I just have big bones. It's water weight or whatever excuse you want to use.
Weight loss is scientifically impossible, and quote, those who do succeed are statistical anomalies whose habits are akin to eating disordered behavior and extreme amounts of exercise. There are no health benefits to losing weight anyway. In fact, it might be harmful to your health.
Losing weight is harmful to my health? Being able to get up and do things and cook for myself and clean for myself and play with my nieces and do all the things that I love doing, like that's harmful to my health? There have been zero harmful effects. I've actually, the pain in my body has gone down tremendously. Like, we saw in several other videos where I think it was when we did a reaction to Tammy, like Dr. Proctor was telling Chris that 85% of his health problems from his diabetes to his asthma to just so many different problems that he had, 85% are going to be resolved from losing weight. So if you have all those things, if you have a higher risk of heart attack, if you have high blood pressure, if you have diabetes, even diabetes, which they say is incurable, if you get weight loss surgery and lose the weight, many people are coming out of that and saying my diabetes was cured because I lost the weight. So yeah, there are many causes, obesity-related diseases that cause all these problems in your body. And if you lose the weight, those things resolve magically. But here she's saying that there are no health benefits to weight loss. What a ridiculous lie. What a lie. And it may be even harmful to your health to lose weight. Like, why is she trying to get people to be fat? She's skinny herself. So why is she trying to tell people that it's okay to be fat, that it's harmful to lose weight? Like, what is she doing? What does she have to gain by getting involved in this false community? I don't understand it at all.
Excess body fat does not affect your health. And of course, diets don't work, with no nuance applied to suggest that a lifestyle change does work. Health at Every Size literally claims that obesity isn't unhealthy, and even if it was, weight loss is impossible. So we should all just stop trying.
The best way to win the war against fat is to give up the fight.
Before we continue, for anyone watching this,
continue fighting, please. If you're fighting in this battle, yeah, crash diets might not work and your body can't handle that. Okay, that's a problem. But if you do what I suggested in a few videos, that you take your time, you do your research, you're knowledgeable about the lifestyle change you're about to go into, and you do it slowly. You reintroduce new foods, and you swap out old ones and bad ones, and you make better decisions, and you go that way. As long as you have a caloric deficit, you're going to lose weight. And the more weight you lose, the better you're going to feel. Like, that is just obvious. Like, I don't understand why they're fighting against that and saying that's not true when there's people like me who've lived it, who've experienced it, know 100% that it's true.
Thinking, no, you have healthy size all wrong. It is not about pushing that fat or obesity is not unhealthy. According to many websites and Health at Every Size practitioners, the issues that I've mentioned with HAES are misconceptions. They're ideas that have been distorted by the internet, and they're not reflective of the true benign nature of Health at Every Size. Even YouTube's own Abby Sharp is Health at Every Size, and she has a disclaimer on her website which says, "It's health at every size, not healthy at every size, a subtle but important distinction." But the more I looked, the more I saw that that was not true at all. In fact, on the official Health at Every Size website, there is blatant obesity denial. In the FAQ section, there's a question that says, shouldn't we be looking for a cure for obesity rather than promoting size acceptance? And their official answer not only included obese and question marks as if it were fictional, but also stated, in order to cure a condition, the condition must be defined as a disease. If we say obesity is a disease, then we must say on some level that body fat is pathological. But there is no evidence that adipose tissue is harmful to our health. Yeah, so it was then that I realized that not only were Health at Every Size and fat acceptance.
Why do they keep saying there's no evidence? There's no evidence. Really? Why are you just completely ignoring the mounds and mounds of evidence? Like, you even say that there's discrimination within the medical community because if you go in for an ailment or something, your doctor wants to talk about how you need to lose weight. Like, that's not discrimination, that's fact. Your doctor who went to school for 7 years and gained a doctorate degree and knows more about medicine and the human body than you'll ever know, just because you join this fat acceptance movement does not mean you're an expert in body. Like, you're denying mounds and mounds of research for decades that talk about the bad side effects of obesity. And yeah, obesity may be considered a disease, but that does not mean it's not 100% within your control. Like, as soon as you become obese and all these other diseases start piling on there, like, I don't know. It's ridiculous what they're trying to pull over people's heads. And it's killing people. And all these young women are getting sucked up into it. And I fear for our future. I really do, because obesity is getting worse and worse and worse. There's another video that I tagged that I'm going to do on obesity in children. So look for that here soon, but it's just absolutely sickening what they're doing. So now these young women are going to have kids and raise their kids to be, it's okay to be fat, and their kids are going to adopt their parents' eating lifestyles, and it's just going to be a perpetuating system. And more people are going to grow up being fat.
Acceptance similar, but
and soon it's going to probably be discrimination just to be skinny. Like, hey, you're skinny, so you must be racist, you must be a fat phobe, you must be all these other things.
they were the exact same thing. If you don't believe me, then keep watching. HealthAtEverySizeBlog.org chronicles the roots of HAES, tracing the foundational ideas all the way back to the 60s and 70s, where a political group called the Fat Underground band together to try to infiltrate the medical establishment in an attempt to change anti-fat attitudes that, quote, perpetuated the unhealthy habits encouraged by diet culture. Sound familiar?
99% of the people who lose weight gain it back.
I mean, that's kind of true. Because when you watch My 600-Pound Life, they do put a disclaimer on the front that say, there's only a 5% chance of really people losing weight and keeping it off long term. So even the odds are stacked against you once you get bigger. But that's because you're facing an enormous amount of mental issues that are preventing you from getting things right. You have eating disorder, you have a mental illness, you have a food addiction, you have trauma. Like, you're trying to overcome all those things. And people who try to lose weight, they don't address those things. They don't get therapy. They don't get mental help. They just think, oh, it's all about diet, and I'm going to eat a salad, and I'm just going to do well. But you're not addressing the mental aspects of it. That's why I highly recommend getting involved with the program. That's why I feel I'm in a much better place to lose weight now that I was part of the bariatric program, now that I have access to a dietitian and a therapist, and I had counseling and all these other things. Like, if you don't address those other things, you're not going to lose weight. I mean, yeah, probably you can just change your whole mindset about it and overcome obesity on your own. Like, that's possible. I'm not sitting here saying it's not. But you have a very significant less chance of doing it on your own without help than if you got help and you sought some therapy, you had help from a dietitian, you did some research, you know what's healthy and unhealthy. Like, just deciding, hey, I'm going to do keto, and you jump in tomorrow and you didn't do your research and you don't know what to expect and all that, like, you're going to fail keto. Like, I've tried and failed so many times at it. And then once I finally learned and researched and figured it out, like, I was a lot more successful with it, and I did it for a long time and lost over 100 pounds doing it. But I gained that 100 pounds back during COVID when there just wasn't food in the stores. And so the only way that we could eat was DoorDash and ordering out at McDonald's, because those were the only places open at the time. And so I sort of got back into my old eating habits and gained all that weight right back. So yeah, it's very possible to lose the weight, and then most people do gain it back because they didn't address the mental part of it.
90% of those people gain back more than they lost.
People, women like ourselves who are forced to diet our entire lives because we're naturally fat women, and who are talking about 100-pound weight loss that is killing us.
The weight loss is killing you? No, the obesity is killing you. Nobody is naturally overweight. That's just not true. You're overweight because you had a lifestyle choice that got you there. So that's, I guess, the biggest hurdle that we need to face when it comes to the fat positivity movement is nobody is naturally fat. Nobody came out of the womb naturally fat. You might have some baby fat on you, that's not what I'm talking about. You grow out of that. Maybe you're a little chubby as a kid like I was, but most people grow out of that. But I'm not sitting here saying because I was a chubby kid and I was overweight at 5 years old and whatever, that had nothing to do with my eating habits, which it 100% did.
It's because it's your body's nature to be fat, and that's...
I just realized I forgot to take this thing off my computer, so if there's clicking again in this video, I apologize. I'll try to make sure I have that fixed. Like I have my laptop on a stand here on my lap, and so that's what clicks. And usually I take that out now, and I've had no clicking issues, but I forgot to take it out this time. So
That's the reason. You know you'll have no life at all until you accept yourself as the woman you are.
no, you're gonna have no life being obese. And accepting your obesity and just giving into it, like, you're going to have no life. You're going to be stuck in bed all day. The world is going to look down on you for that. You're going to have less of an opportunity. You're going to have less of a chance to get a good job. You're going to, be less lucky in love. And the only people you're going to attract are people who are attracted to obese people, who are feeders and going to keep you fat. And that's not a way to live at all. We see people like Tammy always being attracted to these kinds of people because they're so desperate for love that they don't care that it's going to be a toxic relationship that's going to be more damning to their health. Like, they don't see or realize any of that. They just see, oh, this person likes me and he's kind of cute, so I guess I'll go with him. It's stupid. You're not going to live and be happy until you get the weight off.
Their motto was literally, doctors are the enemy, weight loss is genocide. And the change society, not ourselves ideology was apparently the foundation of their movement.
That's what I've been saying. It's like this whole change society, not your weight. They're trying to change the culture. They're trying to change society to accept fatness as a healthy option instead of doing the work to change themselves. Like, as much work as they put into trying to change other people and the culture and everything else, like, they could put that same amount of work into their own weight loss and be healthy and be happy. But they're completely miserable at their size, and they think it's everybody else's fault because everybody else looks down on them because doctors tell them they need to lose weight and they can't get jobs and they're lucking out and having good, stable relationships. And so it's everybody else's fault. It's not their own fault. It's not their fat's problem. It's everybody else that's the problem.
And no, that's not satire, that's really what it says. If you were to go and look up the history of the fat acceptance movement as a political group, you would actually find the exact same story as what's posted here for Health at Every Size. The history of Health at Every Size and the...
So I mentioned how I forgot to take this thing off here. So I'm going to take it off right now in case it's been bugging you guys. Oh, it's this little stand that I have that I put my laptop on to stabilize it. So hopefully if it was clicking, that problem will be over. Let's get back to it right now.
The history of fat acceptance are the exact same. They're the same group. Most of, if not all, the foundational ideas of Health at Every Size as they exist today can be found back then in various fat acceptance texts. Let's see if we recognize any of these ideas. Biology, not eating habits, is the main cause of fat. Health problems of fat people are not inherently due to...
It's 100% eating habits. 100%. All right, I'll say 99% because there is that 1% that it could be some hormonal problem that prevents you from losing weight. But those things prevent you from losing weight. They don't make you gain weight. You gain weight because you're overeating. It's exactly calories in, calories out. If you take in more calories than you burn, you're going to gain weight. Your body stores it as fat. Like, that's what causes weight gain.
Fat, but the result of stress, self-hatred, and chronic dieting. Weight loss efforts damage health, almost never succeed except temporarily, and should not be used. And actually, here's a quote from a book titled...
I mean, some of that I think I agree with because it got so bad for me that I had to get weight loss surgery. Like, if I thought I could do it on my own, and many times I tried to convince myself that I could do it on my own, and I failed. It wasn't until I got weight loss surgery that I really dealt with it. But even then, weight loss surgery is only a tool. It's not going to be a permanent thing that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life. I mean, it could be if I did it the right way, but I could easily stretch my stomach back out and then go back to gaining weight again. So, I mean, I think they're taking the stigma, such as they know they've had a hard time losing weight and they've tried, but they're probably only trying because other people are making them try. The world makes them feel bad, and so that's why they're putting in the work, but it's not working because they themselves don't want to lose weight. They don't want to address the mental part of it. They don't want to see it as a bad thing. And so because they're failing to address the real cause of it, the mental part of it, they keep gaining weight and they keep failing their diets. And so, yeah, when we talk about weight loss, we need to add that mental component to it. But I don't see that happening right now within, the weight loss community. It's all about just eat less and you'll be fine. And they don't address the mental part of it at all, which is, I think, very, very sad. So when we start addressing the mental part, like, people are going to be a lot more successful losing weight.
Don't diet, that they listed on their website as one of their texts, which pretty much echoes the sentiment we saw earlier. There is no good reason to consider the general increase in fatness an epidemic. People are becoming taller too, but nobody talks about a height epidemic. Nor is there
You can't control your height. But the weight epidemic or the fat epidemic is because of how we eat and how we're raising our kids to eat. And today, parenting is all about giving your kids whatever they want so they shut up instead of actually parenting your kids. And I'm not speaking to your good parents out there. I'm talking about the ones who, and I'm not saying that if you give in to your kid, you're a bad parent. As an uncle, I give in to my nieces too when they're throwing a fit and they want ice cream and I have to give it to them. Like, I get that. But that's one weekend at my house versus what parents do every single day of their lives. They get them addicted to sugar, so they crave sugar, and then anytime they have sugar, they throw a fit and they go crazy because they can't handle the sugar in their body, and the dyes, like the red dyes and the blue dyes and stuff, sort of impact them psychologically, and so they keep having more fits. And so in order to have some peace, parents just give in to them and give them whatever they want. And then we wonder why kids are becoming obese. And then now parents are giving their kids phones at 9, 10, 11 years old, maybe even as young as kindergarten and first and second grade, giving them phones and tablets. So instead of playing outside like we did, they're on their phone all day. They're playing video games all day. They're watching movies and TV all day. They're not getting exercise. And they're overeating and eating junk all day long. And then, oh, wow, this fatness is not an epidemic. It's you're not in control of that. It's just like a height epidemic. You're born, you can't control how much you weigh just as much as you can't control how tall you get. Like, really? Are we really equating that just like we equated to weight and skin color earlier? Like, you can't control your fatness just like you can't control your height or your skin color. Really? Is that their argument? I hope I just made sense there. Because I just had an ADHD moment. I'm trying to think of one thing and I'm talking something else and I look back and I'm like, do I even made sense right there?
any good reason to consider fatness a disease. The people of the Western world are both fatter and healthier than ever before.
People are not healthy while they're being obese. Like, we need to get that through people's skulls. Probably because people are getting obese younger and younger, the effects of obesity haven't really set in yet. And so they think that they can be obese and healthy. But again, if they've been obese since they were 10 years old or 5 years old and they've been that way their entire lives, it's going to carry forward. And the impacts are going to hit them sooner and sooner. Like, there was that 28-year-old who died from obesity-related problems. That 32-year-old that I did that video on died as a mukbanger who just started eating like crap and had a heart attack. Like, seriously?
And the experts and co-founders of Healthy at Every Size, as listed by ASDA's website, are all members of NAFA, the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance. Clearly, even after all these years, Health at Every Size has not come very far from its roots in fat activism. Now, as a quick disclaimer, Health at every size has become a huge movement today, and I am not
A huge movement. I bet she's about to say that she's not saying a pun there, but yeah, it's a huge movement.
by any means saying that all health at every size practitioners are fat activists. I'm sure there are lots of HAES professionals that practice it a lot more responsibly than what's being depicted here, and are not even aware that this is a Trojan horse for fat activism. Now, obviously it's my opinion that it's a Trojan horse, but if the shoe fits. So sure, you might say that everything I've listed is a misconception, but I would argue that it's a misconception that these are misconceptions, and it's a ploy to seem more reasonable than it is in order to advance the goals of the movement. And at its core, Health at Every Size's main goal is to push fat activism and not health. And of course, conveniently, the more radical ideas of health at every size are what spread like wildfire across social media by body positive influencers like Tess, while the more reasonable ideas take a back seat or are stripped of nuance to the point of uselessness. You do not need to downplay the very real risks of obesity to champion the idea that everyone can take steps to live a healthier lifestyle regardless of their body size. And the fact that they do shows their true intent, in my opinion.
All right, I think I'm going to end it right here. This is at about halfway. So it looks like I might get 2 more parts in. So 4 parts in total. Yeah, because just my commentary added to it makes it longer. But yeah, the whole fat positivity movement, it's just ridiculousness in my brain. Like, again, I'm more against it because I've lived it. I've been there. I know the results of it. I know about growing up and being young and overweight and wishing people wouldn't make fun of me, wishing people wouldn't look down on me, hating how it feels to go into a restaurant and people watch me eat, or, you know, look down on me, or, you know, whatever. Hating to go to the doctor's office and then tell me I need to get my weight under control or I'm not going to make it to 40. When, as I got older and older, I started to realize that, wow, those doctors are true, because I am starting to develop problems. My body is breaking down. What they said is going to happen was true all along. Years ago, I probably would have joined the body positivity movement and been like, wow, you know, there's no problem with me being overweight. You're the one with the problem. But now that I've lived it and now the side effects of it are hitting me very, very hard, I realize that it's me that needs to change. And that began with fixing my mental health instead of just trying to do it on my own to please other people. That's why many of my diets failed, is because I did it for my sister, I did it for my grandpa, I did it for my dad, I did it for my mom. I was forced to get on an exercise bike when I was a kid, even though I didn't want to. I didn't see my size as a problem like everybody else did. They saw me getting bigger and bigger, and they were concerned for me. And so that's where sort of this begins, because there's pressure on society, pressure from family, pressure from friends, trying to get you to lose weight. They want you to be healthy. Your doctors want you to be healthy. And you don't see how you're unhealthy because, hey, I took all these medical tests. I don't have any high blood pressure. I don't have any diabetes. I don't have any of this yet. So you're the ones with the problem. But then when I started developing those things, it became reality for me. Like, wow, I might not make it to 40 if I continue with how I'm living. So anyways, that's my video for today. Part 2 is in the books. And next week I'll continue 3 and 4. I think I'll do another video for tomorrow instead of this. Just to keep mixing and matching and doing different stuff. So I will get back into Tess Holliday. But I think I'll do another My 600-Pound Life reaction or something like that tomorrow. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. God bless you.